Thank you, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
My name is Uli Nasibova. I'm originally from Baku, Azerbaijan, and I am very honored to be speaking with Raffi Chilingirian. Hello, Raffi. Please
Hi.
Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Uli. So my name is Raffi Chilingirian. I'm originally from Beirut, Lebanon, and it's my first time here in the US. I was accepted in the Silk Road program. It's a one-week global musical program in Boston. That was held in the first week of August, and so yeah, I was accepted in the program when we came here, and that's why I'm in the US.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Very beautiful play of Sarı Gəlin, Sari Aghjik, a song that connects our both cultures. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. So tell us a little bit about your instrument Duduk and your history with the instrument, and yeah.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Sari Aghjik or Sarı Gəlin is a common, very much loved by the two nations, communities, people. The Azerbaijanis and the Armenians, the Turks as well, the Georgians love it, the Persians have a version, the Greeks have a version. It's actually much loved by all types of backgrounds and the people. The Duduk is a very old instrument. It's actually just two pieces. As you can see, it's just wood. There's not much like sophisticated stuff. It's just an octave, which is like a few notes, like an octave is eight notes, and a few notes, 1, 2 at the back, and just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the front. It's the best duduks are made from apricot tree, the T-shirt. I mean the fruit that the tree that bears the apricot fruits has the best quality in terms of the timbre, the sound, the resonance, and it doesn't crack. The wood doesn't crack actually.
Oh, wow.
So the manufacturers have tested it throughout the years. They've found out that the best ones are made from the apricot tree. And this is the reed. It's a double reed. It's kind of big, you know, compared to other instruments. Yeah, it's a double reed. It's very sensitive, the tip. And yeah, very much, I mean, made by hands actually. There's no sophisticated stuff. That's and my story with the Duduk started in 2016. I mean, it's a long story. I could tell about it perhaps another time. But basically, I started in 2016. I had bought one from Armenia, and went to someone who later became my teacher, and yeah, I fell in love with the sound of it, how it makes people feel. It moves people. It moves different kinds of people. Of course, it moves me first because that's what's shared, and that's what people feel basically when the musician is filled and is moved. that's what people sense. So the instrument is very, very old, like perhaps 3,000 years old before, yeah. And it's shared with the Azerbaijani musicians as well. Historically, the two nations have been living next to each other, and what the Azerbaijanis call balaban. Throughout history, it has changed a bit. Like, if, the two people have changed some of the way it's crafted. So it some minor differences are found between the Duduk and the balaban, but yeah, actually the technique is the same, where you blow into the reed. The Armenians puff their cheeks, while the Azerbaijanis do not necessarily puff that much with their cheeks. It's a different style.
I love that.
It's a different technique that they use based on the mugham that the Azerbaijanis have in their songs. Yeah.
I actually, when I was researching about the Armenian Duduk for this interview, I thought to myself, I know nothing about it. I should learn about it. And then I found out that its close cousin is balaban, the Azerbaijani instrument. I was so happy because it's actually one of my favorite folk instruments. So it made me very happy to know that our two peoples have that in common as well.
Right, the Georgians have it as well.
Yes.
They call it duduki. The Persians have it as well. Some call it balaban, some regions call it duduk. And the Turks have it as well. Well, at least morphologically it's the same. It's called mey, M-E-Y. So yeah, it's very common. I've heard that even to the Balkans, Balkans also have it. Someone from Japan actually sent me a video. They have something similar, smaller. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Someone from the Silk Road program that I was at, one of the faculty, a Japanese musician, he sent me, oh, in Japan there's this traditional instrument. So he sent me a video, which is fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, the Silk Road, actually, the real Silk Road has taken a lot of like artifacts, musical. Yeah. So yeah, that's.
But I think you were telling me the Armenian version is different because it uses the apricot tree, which has a lot of meaning for the Armenian people. The symbolism of apricots.
Yes.
And the tree.
Right.
And the color.
And the color. So, so the manufacturing of the duduk hasn't changed much, but it has been tuned in the 1900s. I forgot the person's name.
Wow.
So it was more nasal, but he made like today it's more like this deep human voice that it has. That I mean, Jivan Kasparian made it world famous. Yeah, and the duduk is what is now. It symbolizes the Armenian, the soul of the Armenian nation. And it was registered by UNESCO as non-tangible cultural heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 2000s.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, your performance of Sari Aghjik, Sarı Gəlin gave me the goosebumps. It's such a beautiful instrument with such a beautiful specific sound that really touches you. You were saying it's also very close to the human voice, which is why it has that effect on people?
Yes. Technically, so you can do microtones. So it's with your fingers that you can open slightly, so you get the microtones. Half of it, it's the half note. So it's one note, half note, the Western style of. On the piano, you have one note and half notes.
Yes.
But in the Eastern and in the Armenian, you also have the microtones, right?
Yes,
so you can do actually those slides, the glissandos, the melodisms. So that's which is very, like very close to the human voice.
Yes.
You have the slides. That's very, yeah, and the sound of it. Actually, some of the musicians whom I met in the Silk Road, they had the same feeling. Like they were telling me, oh. We felt that it's like very close to the human voice, so I guess that's that's why it's also close to everyone who hears it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Before we had this interview, we got to know each other a little bit, and we were talking a lot about the music of our region, not just the Caucasus, but you're from Lebanon, but your family originally comes from Eastern Anatolia. So like that whole greater region, how the music in that area, there was just so much more interchanging between the different cultures than people today would like to admit. And so I wanted to ask you, do you have any songs or any performers from nearby countries, cultures, maybe some Azerbaijani or some Kurdish or Turkish music that you are fond of?
Yeah. So I went to Cyprus. There was this, mostly from the Arab regions, we met in Cyprus. So there was one Kurdish musician from Syria. So we actually we jammed together, we did a duet together. So, I mean, he knew, also Armenians were, they were close. Armenians were very much musician, like they had lots of musicians, right? It's like Sayat Nova, for example. It comes even before, like we're talking about the 18th century, how he brought the ashuk
culture,
kind of, the troubadours who went from one village to another, the style of music that he actually mastered, and he took it from at the time, and when there was no, all these people were living next to each other. So he wrote in Armenian, in Turkish, in Tatar language, in Azeri language, in Georgian. He also has. So yeah, it's those common shared songs that we have, and most probably Sari Aghjik, Sarı Gəlin is a shared. Because historically we know that yes, there were problems, yes, there were struggles between the various nations actually, but we also know that musicians, both Armenians and Azeris, Azerbaijanis, they had joined concerts, like they had bands together with each other. And I've read one section, one of the books that I read from time to time, older books, not the recent ones, which is kind of nationalized and like segregated. So I need to read like more the older books, what they were saying when their problems were not that much nationalized, politicized. So, so there was this saying that the Azeris have these better kind of singing with the high notes. They have these artistic, musical style of singing, which is very unique for the Azeris. But the musicians, the best musicians were Armenians. So we had this combination of within the bands. We're talking about Yerevan, we're talking about Baku, where Armenians also lived there. So they were there, and Karabakh. So we had these shared common values and cultural values, sharing of the cultures and the music, of course. So, I could find some evidence of photos where they were playing together. Yes.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because we recently, in our group of LA Azerbaijanis and Armenians, shared this documentary about two kamancha players. Kamancha,
kamancha.
And there was a player from Stepanakert, Hankandi, who is of Armenian origin, and then he was talking about playing the kamancha. It's an older documentary, and then a very famous kamancha player from Baku, and just in that short documentary you could see how the musicians of both backgrounds, Azerbaijani and Armenian, were playing together and performing together, and kamancha is such a big part of Azerbaijani identity. But one of the guys in the video mentioned that a lot of the people who built the kamanchas in Baku were of Armenian origin. A lot of people in Baku who were kind of like really good with their hands and kind of like craftsmen were of Armenian origin, and it was just it made me very happy but also very sad at the same time, because that felt like such a tale of the past. But I know you're in Beirut, Lebanon. You're a little maybe more removed from our Caucasus corals, but have you had any experiences like that of kind of like coming across those kind of like, cross-border collaborations of like the crafts side of things, or I don't know, anything of?
For the crafts, just for historical purposes, the reason why kamancha Armenians have the craftsmen, of course, but technically, so kamancha had 3 pegs. So the 3 pegs, they had 3 pegs. So the 4th one was added by an Armenian kamancha player master back in the 1900s.
Yeah.
So he made it modernized, or to accommodate some other songs or Western songs. He added the fourth string and with the peg.
Yeah.
So that,
I think they mentioned that in the documentary.
Yeah.
So they alluded to it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's common now, which is the kamancha used nowadays in the Caucasus regions. I do have personally on Facebook and Instagram, like sharing and following each other, like Azerbaijani musicians, like the styles of mugham, and Armenians also have mughams, by the way, but it's a bit different style. But we're going to the technical stuff now.
Right.
Some people think that, the mugham is only Azerbaijani, but actually Armenians also have the maqams and their own modes.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Historically it was part of the tradition. Even the chants, the Armenian chants, that's also used in the churches previously, had those maqams or modes, which is what you can find nowadays as well. They've been changed, perhaps, some of them. I don't know much about it. These are like personal research that I do.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's not my it's not my forte, let's say, but it's something that I like to read into and research and find out more than the narratives that's common. Because today it's more segregated narrative, but if you go into more historical research and the documents, you would find other narratives, which is like, wow, it's like, oh, we had a lot of sharing.
We were collaborating.
Yeah, so we can't look at the lenses of today's, what's happening today through that lens. We need to remove those lenses to find out, so how was it working at the time? So what was, rather than like the villages were together, the singers were Azerbaijanis, the musicians were Armenians, and the collaboration that happens. So it was that common sharing of music, of culture, that gave richness to the region.
Absolutely, and I agree with you 100%. That was actually going to be my next question. Do you like the Azerbaijani mugham? I know you mentioned you have an Armenian version of mugham too, but have you listened to Azerbaijani mugham, and do you like it?
Yes, I've heard of one. Yorgi Minasov, he actually is famous for his mughams on the Duduks. So he has been to Baku. This is what we're talking about, the Soviet times. So he has collaboration actually that I have that video with in the opera in Baku.
Wow,
this was
beautiful.
way in the past. So
you should send that to me later.
Yeah, it's in black and white, but
that's great. It was so funny when I was doing research about Duduk. Again, I was like, I'm not sure I know a lot about it, but I realized that the Voyager that's in space and has like the golden record was like a bunch of songs. One of the songs that was included on the golden record was actually of 2 balaban players from the Azerbaijan Soviet Republic, and I thought that was really cool. But it was a mugham. They were performing a mugham on the balaban, which is, like you said, over the years, I guess the instruments evolved a little differently, and they were crafted differently for different applications.
Yeah, exactly.
That's wonderful.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you think one day you would be open to performing with Azerbaijani musicians?
Actually, I was expecting someone from Turkey to be in the Silk Road program, but we didn't have anyone. But we had Farsi, we had Persian Persian musicians who are studying in the U.S. There was one girl, she's studying in Berkeley. Her mother is Azeri, her father is Persian.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we like
the mixing
could
of the cultures again.
There's some places where we could connect, and everyone was. For example, during a dance, we had to make some dances as well. Yeah, exactly. So she was the only one who could like connect directly, while the others were like, "Okay, you have
like,
have good moves, you have good steps," but
that
was nice collaboration, unexpected. Yeah.
Well, I hope of a future where our musicians from our cultures are contributing to each other and improving, adding fourth, fifth, whatever to their kamanchas, duduks, balabans, everything. And it's like a shared community of collaboration as opposed to arguing over what came from where, who invented what first, which is a sad state of affairs sometimes. But I think it will change for the better.
I hope that happens through initiatives like this one.
Garden, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So they would like really put some hope in other narratives as well. There are other collaborations that can happen at the same, and that doesn't diminish any of our identities actually.
Of course.
So people think that you're losing your identity, you're collaborating with others, but that's actually it's a richness that it brings, despite other narratives. So it's really important for someone to know their identity, where they come from, from which region they come from, and what can they contribute, so that they can have a really solid identity, but who can also communicate with the other, so they wouldn't be in the fear factor. Actually, it's very, very easy to like be isolated and fear from the others. Oh, what if I talk to them, or if I collaborate with them, would I be considered a bad person? That kind of stuff. But no, actually have the risk, but actually show that there is something unique, something beautiful that can be shared with others, without going into the details of other political narratives.
I agree. I think respect for each other's culture and for each other's history, and on that very basic level is a good start. Just respecting and validating the existence of the other community, and that's always a good start for the conversation.
Yeah, music brings us together.
Music does
and makes the
together.
dialogue, right?
Yes, music is beautiful, especially from our region. We can agree on that. Yes. Well, I'm very honored to have interviewed you. I'm glad I was chosen for the task. So thank you, Bright Garden. Thank you, Arnold, and everybody else behind the scenes. And pleasure to meet you, Raffi.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you. Thank you, Uli.
Thank you. So today I learned that the Armenian Duduk is made, the body of it is made from the apricot tree, right? And I had learned last year about the symbolism of apricots in Armenian culture. So I made this flavor called apricot sorbet, and I actually dedicated it to the LA Armenian community. When I was researching this flavor, I learned that the orange on the Armenian flag is the color of the apricot. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool because apricots are one of my favorite some fruits.